welcome to food that doesn't suck. Or maybe it does. Let's find out. So today what we have is we have a lentil pasta. This is an organic lentil pasta produced by Whole Foods Market. And we're doing a comparative taste test. We've got two different spaghetti sauces. We've got one here on the left, brand name of Bella, and then the other is Whole Foods brand 365. And so we're going to compare taste these with the same pasta. So here we go. So I'm going to just first kind of taste this sauce here without the noodle so that we get an idea. That's pretty good sauce. The flavors mix really, really well. You can really taste the tomato. So if you're a tomato connoisseur, this is definitely a good tomato sauce. Let's throw in a little bit of the noodle action with it and see what we've got here. And one of the problems with some of the pastas that are gluten-free is their noodle ability, right? Their stretchability is a little less than that of wheat, so they're a little bit harder to get to the fork. So in this case, the lentil pasta is a little on the, crunchy is the wrong word, but it's closer to like an al dente. We cooked this a longer time to kind of get it softer. So if that tells you anything, it's not what you might get palatability-wise out of a typical gluten-free noodle, or rather out of a gluten-containing noodle. But it doesn't have a bad flavor at all. It's a real mild flavor. And when you mix it with the sauce, it blends really well together. I would just simply say if you're looking for gluten swappability, right? The swappability factor of how well does it translate from a gluten-containing pasta to a non-gluten-containing pasta, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 in that regard. As far as taste is good. I'd give it probably an 8 just because 10 has to be stellar. And as far as the taste of this Bella sauce, I'd give this a 9. It's a really, really good pasta sauce. Now from a cost perspective, this box of noodles, these lentil noodles, are $2.69, which is pretty reasonable, honestly, for an organic, because this is 100% organic ingredient pasta. It's pretty reasonable for that. Whereas the sauce here, much more expensive, coming in at $7.99. So bang for buck, it's a pretty expensive meal with this particular pasta sauce. Now that being said, let's move over just a little bit here. We've got another plate where we're going to test out the same noodles, but with the whole 365 sauce. Now this sauce is much cheaper. It's $2.19. So if you're working this out on a more tight budget, this obviously a $5 difference between sauce is definitely a big deal. So let's try this sauce here. It's pretty good. Definitely not as good as the Bella sauce. The difference that I can pick out is it's a lot more, this one's a lot more herby. And so it's a lot more almost like heavy thyme flavor. So if you really like thyme, you're probably going to like this sauce really well. The tomatoes in this sauce are just not as good. The other thing I'm picking up is a lot of basil. So again, this sauce, if you really like basil as your spaghetti base, you're probably going to enjoy this sauce. But the tomatoes are definitely not superior to the Italian tomatoes of Bella. But overall, not a bad sauce, especially for the cost. So let's check out the noodles with the sauce. Yeah, it blends really well together. So the sauce by itself, a lot, like I said earlier, super heavy basil taste. But when you mix it with the noodle, it really blends nice. It really blends well. So again, if you're trying to save money right now, this sauce is definitely the option that you're going to go with because, from a flavor perspective, I really enjoyed the tomato flavor of this one, but the blend of the noodle and the sauce together on this side, It was very good, and I think a meal worth having and worth enjoying. Now let's look at the nutritional value, because I think that's something else that we have to really rate. You know, we don't just want to rate food based on taste and texture and palatability. We want to rate it on what is it providing. And so when we look at this particular one, let's pan over to the ingredients. One of the things I like about this product is everything is organic, and that's important, especially if you're trying to avoid, you know, being exposed to different types of pesticides, because they certainly can have an impact on your health. Calorie-wise, you've got 6 servings in this entire jar. Now, the serving size they're listing here is a half a cup. I don't know anybody who only uses a half a cup of sauce. So I would say more along the lines of, if I sauce this the way that I would typically want to eat, I'd probably use a full cup of sauce, and that's going to equate to about 120 calories. You know, if you use only a half a cup, it's 60 calories. And if you look at the way it breaks out nutritionally, is it's, you know, this sauce itself has 60 total calories. It has 8 total grams of carbohydrate, and 2 of those grams of carbs are coming from dietary fiber, and 4 of those are coming from sugars, natural sugars within the tomato itself, not added sugar. There is no added sugar in this product. There is, however, quite a bit of sodium per serving. It's 410 milligrams, which gives you about 18% of your daily sodium intake. So that is a little bit higher. So they're definitely using sodium in this, you know, to add to the flavor, which isn't necessarily, you know, that's the salt, right? It's not necessarily a bad thing. Salt's not bad for you. But if you're trying to watch your salt, you know, you might want to take that into consideration. All in all, nutritionally speaking, it's you know, with any tomato sauce, unless it's got mushrooms or other, you know, heavy vegetable-based ingredients, you're not going to get a ton of protein. And usually, if you're choosing something that doesn't have a lot of oil in it, you're not going to get a lot of fat. But again, in this case, this sauce has about 2.5 grams total of fat, and that's coming from the olive oil base in the sauce itself. So, you know, if you're looking for more protein in your diet, you're going to get it probably more from the noodles than you are from the sauce. But all in all, not bad nutritionally. If we look at this Bella product, this Organico Bello sauce, you know, from a calorie perspective, same thing. We've got 6 servings in the container. It's half cup as a serving size. Only this comes in a little bit lower in terms of calorie value. It's 50 calories per serving. It's got a little bit less sodium in it as well, and it has a little bit less carbohydrate in it as well. 7 grams total of carbohydrates, so it comes in 1 gram lower. Again, 2 grams of fiber, 5 grams of sugar, but those are not added sugars. Those are sugars that are naturally in the tomato. And then protein, 2 grams. So again, not super high in protein. The fat content is about the same from the olive oil. So both of these come in pretty close. This one's more expensive, has a lower quantity of calories by 10 calories per serving. So if you're counting your calories and you have extra money in your budget and you really love the taste of an awesome tomato, this is the brand I would go with. And if you're not so much concerned about those things, and you're on a budget and you want to get something that's $5 cheaper, definitely the Whole Foods 365 brand would be the way to go.